Welcome to my American History Notes, where I discuss the conclusions I've drawn from studying American history, reading trusted historians, looking at the primary sources they list, just to confirm when I can get them, when I can access them. Most of them are pretty much available, but a lot of them are in collections you have to pay for. So sometimes I can't, but but I do read, and this is a survey. There's a lot more specifics, a lot more detail you can dig up if you see a or hear a topic that interests you or you think is important. And I just want you to understand, even if you don't believe my conclusions or agree with me on the things that I say, you should at least know about the people, events, places, and concepts and topics I'm talking about. Have an opinion formed on your study, not just somebody else telling you what to believe. So I'm going to give you this today. We're going to continue to talk about Andrew Jackson's administration and the events of that. It was a very monumental turn from the original republic that was founded. So it was a beginning of a turn. So the issue that smoldered and once in a while burst into flames during Jackson's administration was that of nullification. Calhoun made himself leader of the movement that declared that a state had the right to decide which federal laws it wished to observe and which it wished to reject. Calhoun and his followers also felt that a state had the right to secede from the Union, an individual state. That's what Calhoun believed. Jackson made his own feelings clear by his public statement, quote, "Our federal union, it must be preserved." However, he didn't do anything substantial to uphold Supreme Court decisions that rejected the principle of nullification. These decisions protected Indians in the southern states, which Jackson spent a great deal of time and effort to have removed to lands west of the Mississippi. Jackson, an old Indian fighter, wanted them removed to keep the constant warfare and bloodshed from reoccurring between settler and Indian in those states. It was not that he hated the Indians, nor did he ever state he wished them dead, but he knew the Indian culture and the white culture could not coexist with their different views of property rights and the natural hostility the Indians felt at having their land taken by whites. Now, from our perspective today, his action against the Indians, the Christians who supported their rights and sometimes went to jail over them, and the Supreme Court who upheld their rights, were unbelievably cruel and thoughtless. Um, he was concerned, like all the white leaders were concerned about the rights and lives of white voting Americans and their families. That was their first concern. So we have to kind of view where they were coming from. And we look today and we say, "Oh, that was wrong. That was wicked. That was evil." Blah blah blah. But we're looking at history. We're just examining it. History is not pretty. It's not clean. It's not. It's not orderly like we would like it to be. So it is what it is. So it was not nullification that marked Jackson's reelection. In 1832, it was the rechartering of the Bank of the United States, an institution he saw as a great swindle of the American people and a terrible con game. In 1831, Henry Clay had won the presidential nomination of a new party called the National Republicans, and his vice presidential nomination went to John Sargent, the bank's chief lawyer. Jackson did not want to renew the 20-year charter of the bank, which expired in 1836, believing that the nation's finances should not be left in the hands of a private corporation. The battle will reemerge later in the controversy over the Federal Reserve System and over the possible privatization of the Social Security system, which Jackson would have flipped out about. Clay believed that so many people owed the bank money, himself included, that being forced to pay back the loans immediately upon closing the bank would be disastrous. Jackson also only believed in hard money, as in gold and silver coin, not paper money or credit on paper, thinking all else to be just fraud. Jackson vetoed Congress's rechartering of the bank in 1832 on a bill sponsored by Clay. The people loved Jackson's commitment to reform and to getting rid of corruption. Jackson said, quote, "When the laws undertake to make the rich richer and the potent more powerful, the humble members of society, the farmers, mechanics," that's an old term for a skilled craftsman like a machinist or a carpenter, "and laborers who have neither the time nor the means for securing like favors to themselves, have a right to complain of the injustice to their government," unquote. Clay and his supporters could not override the veto, and Jackson won an overwhelming victory in the election. Now we're going to talk a little bit about Jackson's second term and the controversy with the Bank of the United States ongoing. All right. Thank you very much for being a part of this. And I hope that this causes you to dig into uh, Jackson's era.